Saludos and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an exciting episode of Broncos Talk. And ladies and gentlemen, not just Broncos Talk, but today we have the two powers that be, the mega powers, your Hulk Hogan and your Macho Man Randy Savage, combined on a very special episode of the Nothing Rhymes With podcast. So we have Nothing Rhymes With and Broncos Talk. You bring them together. And for the very first time in the history of the Orange and Blue Network, we have the Nothing Rhymes With Broncos Talk podcast. Maybe once in a lifetime, maybe yes, maybe no, who knows? But ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk about what transpired last week against the Ravens, what went wrong, what went right, what's to be expected of the Broncos going in the coming future, what's to be expected against the upcoming matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs. With that, and much more. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you sit down, tune in, get your popcorn and drinks ready, because here we go.
Let's go.
Crazy. Johnny, Broncos Libre, how you guys doing, man?
Doing well.
Oh, dude, nothing rhymes with Broncos Talk for the first time ever. I mean, we've been on each other's shows so many times. Hell, I was even a co-host for over a year on Broncos Talk. But now we're combining forces since the election. Yesterday, we decided not to have Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue so the American people, Broncos Country, could focus on that historic day. So, here we are today, right? We have a new president. Whether you like it, love him, hate him, it doesn't matter. He won fair and square. And here we are. We have a new president. And tonight, because we have a new, in addition to having a new president, we have a brand new show that we've never done before. Nothing Rhymes with Broncos Talk. What's up?
Yeah,
let's go.
The idea came to me while I was out at work. So sometimes genius strikes you at like the most inadvertent times. What can I say?
But at the same time, dude, I'm surprised it didn't knock you out because it strikes you so rarely. Oh!
Hey, when you feel an earthquake, that's me hitting the ground, okay?
Are you serious right now, bro?
Anyway, it's good to see you guys. E, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Oh, shoot, man. I'm living life, living the dream. Sometimes it's a nightmare, but a nightmare is a type of dream, so hey.
Hey.
All right. Guys, I guess I'll just go ahead and start it off. Welcome to Nothing Rhymes with Broncos Talk here on the Orange and Blue Network and on the MHRT Network. We appreciate that you've joined us, and we can't wait to get going. If you have not already, please jump on over to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Like, subscribe, share, comment on all of our shows for Orange and Blue Network. But if you haven't already, also jump on over to MHRT Network, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, hell, even Instagram. Like, subscribe, share, comment on MHRT stuff too, guys. We greatly appreciate it. Got to show some love tonight for the sponsor of tonight's show. That is Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. You will find the link in the bio beneath. Dubby is absolutely amazing stuff, all right? Gives you the energy you need to start your day every single day. It comes in a multitude of delicious flavors, and I'm bringing those up right now for you. Boom! Tons of delicious flavors. Calio cream, the Dub Sludge, which is like Granny Smith apple with a secret sauce. I mean, this stuff is amazing. Gives you the kick you need to start your day, but you're not going to get the jitters or the crash later. And here's why. Dubby has no sugar, but it also has no calories. It has no maltodextrin. It has no fillers, and it has no artificial colors. It is formulated to give you energy and focus without the jitters or crash because it's made with nothing but natural caffeine derived from the coffee plant, B vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including their patented neurofactor to help keep you sharp throughout your day without getting the jitters or the crash later. This stuff, guys, I'm telling you, is absolutely amazing. It's delicious. It does you good, and it's a good way to start your day. And and so right now the Broncos, they failed to get a dub. They failed to get a dub last Sunday. They're going to get a dub this Sunday, right? But this is how you're going to get your own dub. You're going to click on the link below, dubby.gg, go on over to Dubby, right? And you're going to place your order, but then you're going to punch in code NRWOB10. That's NRWOB10 will get you 10% off your order at checkout. Guys, that's how you get yourself a dub. Check out Dub. Mm-hmm. Boom goes the dynamite. All right, Adon, let's do this thing.
All right. Before we do, just want to quickly add shout out to all of our audio listeners. If you're not able to join us right now during the live show, it's perfectly fine. But please make sure you give us 5-star reviews anywhere and everywhere you guys get your podcast from. Doesn't matter where you get it from. Please make sure you show some love. Hit that live notification button so you get up to the date information on when every single show goes live and you never miss a beat. So please make sure you show your love in the audio podcast universe.
Absolutely.
But
I would love to say, hey, welcome to Bronco Libre, Mr. Elias Valderrama, to the show tonight. Very exciting. This marks the very first ever appearance by both hosts of the up and coming Viva los Broncos here on both networks together for the first time. Let's give them some love. Oh, wait, I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, no. There it is. For those that don't know, soon, very soon, these two wonderful gentlemen will be hosting an entirely en Espanol podcast here on these networks called Viva los Broncos, the brainchild of that guy over there.
Mm-hmm.
Adon, tell us a little bit about your plan for that show.
So basically, it's going to be a podcast all in Spanish. Bronco Libre and I still have a couple of details to work out, and we want to make sure everything's ready to go for you guys. But basically, it's a very well-known fact that the Broncos are very, very much well-loved in the country of Mexico. It's where I'm from, and it's just it's a great way for us to pay our homage and respect to all the fans that are listening to and watch the games from across the country. So Bronco Libre and I are going to do our very best to put our foot forward and join the Latino community in terms of trying to see what the beat is in Broncos country on the other side of the border. Just like it is, Broncos country is worldwide. Let's get that out of the way first. But the biggest beat that I've seen comes from the people of Mexico, all the Latinos in the Latino community, and Bronco Libre and I are definitely going to try to get an understanding of what it is that's going on, give everybody up-to-date information, just like we do here on Broncos Talk and on all the podcast shows we have here on both networks. So we want to make sure that nobody gets left out. We do apologize if you're unable to understand what it is that Bronco Libre and I are talking about. But again, if you guys ever have any questions or whatever, you're more than welcome to hit us up, and we will be happy to translate it to you the best of our ability. But again, it's going to be a pretty long show, so it's a lot to translate. But we hope you can join us. We hope you can show your support. And I have a great feeling about this. I shout out to Johnny for helping us put everything together, from the logo to the music to everything that when it does go live. So please make sure you have your live notifications up so you guys are ready and when the show goes live.
Any thoughts from you on this upcoming show?
what I'm really excited for, what we're about to do, is there's only one other podcast right now that is handled with the Spanish audience right now, and it's actually coming directly through the Broncos. So it's people that are hired with the Broncos itself. So what we're trying to accomplish now for it, I feel like, is we're going to be able to do this on the fan side. What we do as a fan collective, trying to get the word out where we get other fans as well there in Mexico, or here in the States, that are wanting this type of content that is really lacking, especially for this type of our community, and be able to get la raza, los Latinos out there to be able to gravitate towards us and have this other set of community where they have another sense of dialect, another part of the actual Broncos, for the love of the Broncos, and not just hearing it just directly from the Broncos themselves. So I'm super excited for it. I'm ready.
Dude, I am too. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I love you both, but I don't speak a lick of Spanish. I know some basic phrases here and there and whatever. I'm going to watch every single episode, and I'm just going to sit there like I do whenever somebody tries to get me to watch Telemundo, and I'm like, I had some neighbors once upon a time that I believe it or not, I was living in the ghetto, and I was the only white boy in like miles. And I had these neighbors that would invite me over for Sunday dinner every single Sunday. And it was this Mexican family. They were wonderful. I did not understand a word they were saying. They didn't understand a word I was saying. It didn't matter. They would come, their kids would knock on the door and be like, "Señor, come eat." And I'm like, okay, I'm coming. And I'd come over and they'd have tamales and enchiladas and all this delicious food on the table. And I remember WWE. Telemundo would be up every single time, and I'd be watching WWE in Spanish. And the only way that I knew what was going on was because I'd watched it the Friday before. It was always SmackDown, and I had just watched Friday Night SmackDown in English, so I knew what was happening, but I was like, I have no idea what they're saying. That being said, I also tried to take Spanish in 7th grade and failed miserably. But because of what we're doing here with you guys, I'm going to try to learn it again, because I want to speak it fluently enough that I can understand what my friends are saying on the show. And I'm really excited about it, guys. I'm so pumped. So, but anyway, we already have some here in the comment stream. We got Polar Nights. We have with a lot of comments. I'm not sure exactly. There's some of them that seem like they pertain to our show, and others that seem like they may have pertained to an earlier show. I'm guessing possibly Wild Wild West when it was on tonight on MHRT, because it's coming from Twitch. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's what I'm coming to, because the final one made tonight by Polar Nights said, "This has been a good show. I enjoyed you guys, and that is something I don't normally say to other guys." So I'm okay. Our dear friend D-Rock in the house, giving us a salute. Last week was Miami all over again. Oh!
I don't think that we'll ever relive something like that again.
No, it was not that.
No.
It was not that.
Nothing.
Not that serious.
It was not that bad. But let's see. D-Rock asking you, Don, are you responsible for the Northridge earthquake in California in '92?
I was 7 years old in 1992. So hey, but my family's always said I was always a big baby. So maybe.
And nothing has changed. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, but let's see. D-Rock says, reach out to Eliza from the official YouTube channel for our show. Hey, that'd be great. You know, I've always been the guy who reaches out to people in the organization shamelessly, and it's gained me a whole lot of insiders that I know. I don't know Eliza personally, but I'll reach out to her and see what we can do about getting her on Viva los Broncos. I think that'd be pretty cool. Mundungus popping in saying Bronco Libre.
Let's go.
That is the CEO, as I am CEO of Orange and Blue Network. That is the CEO of MHRT Network right there, giving you some love there.
Thank you.
which is awesome considering that your face will also be adorning his network just as it is mine. So very, very excited. And he and D-Rock clarified, sorry, the official Broncos YouTube channel.
Oh, so I think he's referring to Elisa Hernandez, who's the like the TV reporter, who was just hired on this year from LA.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's no wonder her name sounded familiar. Yeah, you're right, Bronco Libre.
It's gonna be great, guys. It's gonna be great. I can't wait for it. But let's talk Broncos. So like I said, last night we didn't do a show because we decided we wanted the fans to be tuned into the election. Again, whether you liked the results or not, it was an important and historic day for our country. And so we felt we kind of took a vote on it and felt that it was just best if we left the show off the air for the night. And then Adon comes to me and he goes, hey, since you didn't do Nothing Rhymes last night, you want to mash up and come together tonight and talk Broncos? And I was like, I'm pretty sure my week would be incomplete without a show. So let's do this. All right. So let's talk about the pain that we felt this last Sunday.
You know what, guys? I'd like to kick off if that's okay with you guys.
Go right ahead, bro.
Basically, I know, and I got somebody in my inbox that already told me, like, hey, didn't I have the Broncos to lose that game? And they're totally right. I did have the Broncos to lose that game. And to me, it's not so much that the Broncos lost that game, but it's the way that the Broncos lost that game, which is two very different things, okay? Going into that game, that defense was one of the best top 5 defenses in the league, okay? You can argue with whoever you want on position. Doesn't matter to me. I say top 5. And a team like the Ravens, who had just lost to the Browns the week before, so their confidence was shot, and they had already lost to the Raiders. A Raiders who, if you look at now, couldn't play their way out of a paper bag. Okay, that's how discombobulated they are at this moment. So for the Broncos to go on the road, which is how they've been playing a lot tougher than at home so far this season, and to get shellacked the way they did, yeah, that's why I took it a whole lot personally. I know Broncos Twitter and social media, it was, hey, next game and, put it behind us and all that stuff like we normally do with when the Broncos lose a game. I get that. But for some of us, we took it a little bit harder. And the thing that makes Smalls. Yeah. And the thing that makes me take it a whole lot harder to take is just because of the simple fact that that's not the Broncos team that we know. Okay. His team is a whole lot better. Yes, Bo Nix didn't have his best day physically in terms of how he had played the week before and against the Saints at that, but he didn't. It wasn't all on him. Okay, this defense, unfortunately, to me, was not able to solidify themselves as a top contender. I mostly put the blame on Vance Joseph. I don't know what the hell he saw in Devon Key, but that guy should not have played a single minute after that first or second touchdown. I had no idea that PJ Locke was going to be a healthy scratch. I thought he was maybe questionable, but I didn't know he was going to go. So it's very reassuring to me to see that PJ Locke cleared. It's looking like he'll more than likely play this coming Sunday against the Chiefs. But that just gives you a glimpse of how scary our depth is in terms of safety. Because when PJ, if that happens again, and you have to trot Key out there, it really puts this defense in a really, really bad positioning. Again, I put the blame on Vance Joseph for not switching up the scheme, not moving things around like he's done whenever the defense looks like it's in shambles and it needs to be, second half comeback. None of that happened. A whole lot went wrong that day, and it was just it was very disheartening to me.
Yeah, you're not wrong. E, what are your thoughts on that?
You're right on that. With seeing Key out there, I was questioning that the whole time as well. It's like, why is he out there? There was no adjustments at all. And you could see that right away with them just basically steamrolling us itself. And for some reason, our defense really didn't show up as a whole. So something that is, and again, I know with the Browns and so forth, that's a divisional game. Those games are always going to be tough no matter what. That's what I said going into this weekend as well. It's a divisional game. Doesn't matter how Casey's doing. It's still something that you have to show up. If you're not going to show up, that it's going to make it so much harder for you to play. And it showed it right there. They kind of exposed us in a way that we didn't want to be exposed, especially after them losing to the Browns. And then I think it's kind of a makeup where they're like, all right, we just got beat by the Browns. Let's go and take care of this next team that we're playing, and just happened to be us.
Absolutely. Broncos Breakdown. That would be our dear friend from MHRT Network, Bronco Bill, the host of Broncos Breakdown, who was my co-host, was my co-host on the post-game show on Sunday. He says, "What's up, guys? Don, Johnny, and Bronco Leroy. Hello."
What's happening?
Raiders beat the yes. He says Raiders beat the Ravens, but Denver can't. Mistakes after mistakes after more mistakes. Horrible. My co-host, my cousin from the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast, Dreamweaver 1014. That's my cousin Jay. Says Bo Nix is our best playmaker in the running back, wide receiver, or tight end room, all while being our QB. That is a recipe for disaster. Our first 4 picks in the draft better be offensive playmakers. Hey, I completely agree, bro. I do. Like, we've got our listen, outside of maybe safety. I like to think our defense is pretty friggin' solid going forward. So yeah, it's going to be a heavily offensive draft. And I've watched the Ravens game again, guys, and I've watched the All-22. And I'm gonna echo what I said post game. In that, it wasn't just on VJ, by the way. Now, granted, the choices to play soft zone, that was 100% on VJ. Mm-hmm. However, they just, by all appearances, it's like somebody slipped every guy on the Broncos a Mickey in their water bottle, and they were all sleepy. Like, just something rhythm-wise in every phase of the game. Offense, defense, special teams, everything. Something was off. Something that we hadn't seen the last couple of weeks. They seemed to be on such a rhythm, and it was going great. And then just something against the Ravens. Like I said, I don't know if they stayed out partying too much. I don't know if somebody slipped something into their water in the locker room or their Gatorade, whatever. But something was off with the whole team. The rhythm was just off in general. And watching again, like I said, watching it over again and watching the All-22, I could see the same thing. It wasn't just like me trying to make excuses after the first time. I'm like sitting there watching closely and I'm going, that's just not something they would have done. That we would have seen from them against Carolina or New Orleans. I don't know. So, I mean, like I know, Adon, it was painful for all of us, just like you said. However, I am going to go ahead and say I am taking the road that everybody was talking about on Twitter, and that's putting it behind us. It's in the rear view. Let's leave it in the rear view and keep on driving. Next destination, Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Because if we sit here and dwell on it, except besides the Broncos themselves, sitting there and watching film and going, what the hell did we do wrong? It's going to, it does nobody any good for us to dwell upon that debacle any longer than we are.
Oh,
in my opinion.
And I totally agree. And I'm pretty sure soon enough I'll do the same thing. I just really hope that this lights a fire under this team's ass, because that's what needs to happen going into this coming week against Kansas City. And the thing that's really going to upset me later on down the road because this team is definitely looking to clinch a playoff spot. Problem is that if that does happen, everybody's going to bring up this game, and they're going to bring up every single game if it happens going on further where the Broncos just get completely wrecked. And the thing about when the NFL decided to add the extra playoff spot berth, and what's been happening ever since then, is that a lot of people have been really kind of not even taking that last spot seriously. They just kept saying that, all those teams were just added because they were like the best available in their divisions. Not so much because those teams did, played really well or did just enough to make it. It's just like, oh, they're just there just because. And then those teams just get completely wrecked on wild card weekend,
Sure.
So that's what I don't want these Broncos to go into. I don't want our team to be looked at as the team that just made it just because, by sheer luck, and then being the first one out on wildcard weekend, because losing on wildcard weekend for any team hurts like hell. Okay. And that's exactly what I don't want. So the defense, I'd like to think that they're really going to get their act together, because playing Kansas City, like Bronco Libre said, playing division games are the toughest for any team. So this is a must-win situation, because the following week, the boys are going home back to Denver, and they're going to face the Falcons, which is another tough hill to climb. But
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I do too. So the fact that Sean Payton went for it so many times on fourth down was a really brave choice. But at the same time, like there's a certain time and everything to do things. And I unfortunately think that while the gamble pays off, like sometimes the gamble isn't really worth it. Especially because the Broncos lost more of those conversions instead of what they completed, and it put the defense in a very tough spot. So,
well, yeah, but at the same time, we said it going into that game was that they had to be aggressive. And no, I'm not going to sit here and start chanting like a cheerleader, be aggressive. No, but we said that they had to be aggressive. That's the only way that they were going to beat the Ravens. And that's exactly what it was. That was pure, unadulterated aggressiveness, so to speak. So, yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. They did what they could. Something was off. Something was off with all, like I said, all phases of the game were off. And hate it, love it, it's over. And so all we can do now is reflect on it and use it to our advantage as we walk in. And again, I have all the faith in the world in Vance Joseph, all the faith in the world in this defense. And this will be just like it was for the Ravens, although the Ravens seem to pick us apart. This still is the best defense the Chiefs will have faced all season. Like, we may have dropped a little bit because of this game, but I don't think it's enough to really completely undo everything that they did in the first, 9 games of the season. Do you?
No.
Or the first 8 games of the season. So the defense is still the defense, and I have all the faith that they can walk into Kansas City and make Patrick Mahomes' butthole pucker. So, by the way, I just want to point out I am rocking my 5280 cap tonight because right up there on my TV right now, my Denver Nuggets are taking on Oklahoma City Thunder. So go Nuggets. Yes. We got this. No, you're fired. Anyway, you're fired from your own show. No.
Already?
Yeah, for real. Speaking of Nuggets fans, Dreamweaver popping in, my cousin, my fellow Nuggets, fanatic, says, who specifically was responsible for allowing King Henry to cook? That's not the soft zone necessarily. Specifically, I mean, it's our defensive line, man, as a whole. He found after watching it again, especially after watching the All-22, you get that wonderful straight on view from the end zone, when you watch the All-22. And in doing so, you're able to see a lot more of like things that happen, especially in the run game, that you couldn't see on the broadcast. And I mean, Henry, dude, he was finding holes everywhere. So whatever our defensive line, needs to do to get back into shape, because they were a top 3 defensive line in the NFL going into that game.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, and I'm going to be honest with you, the offensive line of the Ravens didn't go into it as the best offensive line in the NFL. They went in, they're good. They're good. They're a good offensive line, but for whatever reason, again, going back to what I said before, with being off, just in general being off, it sure felt, like our defensive line was asleep, and Henry just kept finding holes in every single place on our defensive line. So, and that's what he does. I mean, it is Derrick Henry. So, D-Rock wants to know, I'm going to let E answer this one first. What is up with field awareness? The first down marker is right there. Dive!
Especially with that play with Javonte, I agree with that. You're so close, and that's fourth down. Just go for it. When I was playing ball, we need to go out there and play. This is your last play that you're ever going to play. Just go out there and make a play. And I felt like he wasn't there. And I don't know if he's still thinking about his knee, if it's not fully, if it is 100%, but it's all mentally for him. And I think that might be part of it as well. We haven't seen the Javonte of old yet. So
no,
I think it's all
got to get out of his head.
Yeah,
he's got to get out of his head
right now.
It's its own version of the yips.
Yep.
And I'm going to be honest, it makes us sick.
Get back, I'm singing for a vomit!
So, exactly. I mean, it's disgusting. And it's like, you see, here's the thing. Here's the difference between, and why I still have, even after this game, all the faith in the world in Bo Nix. Because even though we were getting crushed, even though we were getting killed, you still saw Bo do every single thing he could to win that game. He left nothing on the field. He gave it everything he had. And I mean, and that's why
I thought you said go, Bo, go.
So, and that's the thing is you don't want your quarterback running and hurting himself. But at the same time, you see that when he does run, you do see that extra dive out of him to get another yard or two.
Oh, yeah.
He's not scared to do it. If your quarterback, the guy who you cannot risk losing at more than anybody else on this team, if he can do it, 33, bro, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Leave nothing on the field. So
yeah, it was a really bad day for him. It was also a bad day for little Jordan Humphrey, who that ball, you got to catch that a million times, man. There is no way that ball should go right past you for that easy interception. So that was just a bad day.
And that was the beginning of that. Honestly, if that hadn't happened, the Broncos might have been in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one and the Troy Franklin, Bo Nix was just a second off. Otherwise, that's a touchdown, my friend.
Absolutely. But I mean, again, when that interception happens, we all know that that momentum can just swing with a single play. And the one thing I'll point out, this is a very young team, and they don't have the veteran sense as a team as a whole, I think, to overcome the mental anguish that comes with a bad play like that. And so when that happened right out the gate to first drive, I think that got in the whole team's head, and it just drove us into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Johnny, you mentioned the D-line. After that play where JFM got the sack, the D-line was kind of absent the entire game after that. They weren't able to get past the offensive line, and by the time they did, the secondary had already given up the pass to Zay Flowers, I'm sorry. So it was just like, you guys have heard me say how much I love Zach Allen, and I always praise him on almost every single show. But this was the very first game where he just really had a bad day at the office. So if he wasn't getting double teamed, he wasn't able to get the pressure that he's normally known for. So I really do hope that this was just a bad day for him, and that he really goes out and, wrecks Kansas City going forward. But like you said, I know that the Broncos need some help on the offensive line, and I'm still really pissed off that the Broncos did not buy anything. All they did was trade Baron Browning, which did not move the needle at all for this team for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Again, I'd like your thoughts on this, E, but again, one thing that I always think of is I know ball. I'm a student of the game. I study the ins and outs and statistics and everything constantly. And I played. I know you played. But I'm not the coach. I'm not the guy. I've written letters, hundreds of them, to the team, being like, hey, you guys know you got the wrong, the right guy for the job is right here. But they always seem to send it back, return to sender. So I mean, unfortunately, they won't listen to me. But I'm just messing. But I did try to get a job with the team once, though. I did. It just didn't work out in my favor. So, but I'm not the coach. I'm not the guy making the calls, and I'm not the one seeing the things that are happening behind the scenes. Like, that's the one thing that's the hard part about being the fan led, is that we're not in the building every day. We're not out there with the other some of the more credentialed media members who get to watch practices and things like that and see things and run and interact with the players in the building. We don't get that. So I can sit here and criticize all day as to why we weren't buyers. And I agree wholeheartedly. Like, Zach Stevens put out that article on DNVR. Big shout out to DNVR, tight and close friends of the show. But Zach Stevens put out that article talking about how, it would be doing Bo a disservice to not get him a weapon before the trade deadline. And we didn't. But for whatever reason, either the right weapon wasn't there in Sean Payton's eyes, or he's still confident with what he's got going forward. And, I'm going to defer to him as the coach. But what are your thoughts on that, E?
I agree. I think we should have been buyers as well, getting him more of another weapon, maybe another tight end like we could have gone for. But I also feel that this is also still the effects of Russell Wilson. So I think part of that is why they weren't buyers is we still have a lot of dead cap money for next year on Russ's contract. And I feel like once that drops off, which will be after next year, I think they'll have more money to be able to play with, to be able to get a high end receiver or tight end, somebody that's going to be able to help us. And I feel like them doing it this year was not really an option because of that dead cap money for next year itself.
Sure.
So, and again, that's George Payton's issue that he created for us for when he signed Russ the very first year before he even played a snap, giving him this huge contract. So, and we're paying for it right now, which sucks.
It does. I mean, and I will say this: the cap hit this year is the most painful one.
Yep.
That we're gonna have. So next year we will have a lot more money to play with. I think next year we'll be looking at something like $76 million available in cap as it stands right now.
Yeah.
That's what I found on Spot Track yesterday. I haven't checked. I didn't get on Spot Track today. But something like $76 million. So we will have more to play with, and of course you have to allocate $12 million of that for your draft class for next season, possibly 13 now that you've added another 6th round pick with the Baron Browning trade. That being said, I think it's very, very, very likely that we do some movement in the draft using the extra dart throws that we got for Baron, the extra dart throw we got for Baron Browning. So I mean, you may not have to, but I digress. The point that I'm trying to make there is that next year we will have more money to go shopping. Right now I feel like Broncos Country is getting to window shop, and next year is when the Christmas bonus comes in and you get to kind of, splurge a little for Christmas time. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
I love my analogies, by the way, E. I do them all the time. Metaphors and analogies, I do them all the time.
I like
It's kind of my thing. So, all right, now I want to real quick update for the Nuggets fans watching, because I know that Broncos Country, the majority of us, Don, are Nuggets fans as well as Broncos fans. The Nuggets are currently down, I think. Well, now they just took the score off the screen. I was about to.
It's 30-32 Oklahoma that I'm looking at.
Okay, yeah. All right, and we got Zeke Naji at the line. And he missed his first one. Nice, thanks. Come on, man, it's a free throw. Anyway, 11:29 left in the half. All right, so I want to get you guys' thoughts because another move was made this week. Well, not move, but movement where we paid, where Mr. Jonathan Cooper got paid. What did they extend him? 4 years, something like $62 million, I think.
Yeah, something about that. Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Did how are we feeling about locking it down Jonathan Cooper for 4 more years?
You can go first.
You know what? I actually love the move itself. With him and both Baron Browning, in the same draft class itself, I think what hurt Browning was the injuries that he just had at the beginning of this year. Because I was thinking that he was going to be that next guy that we were going to pay him and so forth. But I'm just glad that because Cooper has been actually performing, he's doing very well. How can you not support that, with where he's at and what he's been able to do on the other end of Allen? And being able to see that, why not pay him and get him actually on the cheaper end as well of getting him paid, as opposed if we're waiting until later on where we might have to spend more money on him if he continues to be on this role that he is this year.
Sure. Adam, what are your thoughts on extending the contract of Jonathan Cooper and giving him that money?
I actually like it. I'm kind of surprised at the timing of it because we didn't really hear Jonathan Cooper's name called very much or very little at all this past game against the Ravens. So the Broncos, obviously every team has to take a gamble with who they believe is going to be their best player and best of the future. I agree with Bronco Libre in terms of the whole Baron Browning thing. I was talking to my brother about it because he felt like the Broncos lost a key piece of a defensive player. And I said, if you go back and you watch all the missed tackles that Baron Browning did where he couldn't even wrap up King Henry, much less get to him, like the writing was on the wall. Just like you, Johnny, I watched back the tape and I slowed it down and I watched. There were so many missed tackles, but most of them were from Baron, from Browning himself. Just for the simple fact that, as Bronco Libre said, he's been hurt a lot, so he hasn't really been able to be on the field that long. So when you don't, even missing a game can accumulate such an amount of rust on you, because these guys are conditioned to play every single Sunday and play to their best ability.
We saw it from PS2 when he was out for only 2 weeks. That very first drive against him. Now, granted, he shook the rust off on the sideline real quick. He soaked himself in some. I don't know. He went to the sideline, soaked himself in some Coca-Cola, and then shook it off. But it took him that first drive was not PS2 level when he first came back from that concussion. So you're absolutely right about that. And the thing is, like, Baron Browning was great in the rush. I mean, his rush was fantastic. Especially, when we first saw them move him from inside linebacker to the outside, and we saw that he was going to be doing that, I was excited.
Yeah.
But one thing that you just brought up is absolutely and 100% true is that he struggled, always struggled sealing the edge. And sorry, buddy, on this defense, as good as this defense has the potential of remaining, if you can't seal the edge as an edge rusher, dude, you ain't going to be on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, Nick Bonito, who I have been so pleasantly surprised by Nick Bonito because I was out on Nick Bonito for a long time. I was out on him when we drafted him. I was like, why? Why did we spend our highest pick in this draft on this guy? I didn't like the pick. I never did. And now I'm seeing, and now I love being wrong. I love being wrong when it comes to the Broncos doing good. So Nick Bonito has outperformed Baron Browning, and farewell, Baron.
Yeah, good luck to him in Arizona, though.
I feel like he's going to do well in Arizona, and because Arizona right now is in first place and in their division and what they're trying to accomplish and doing something within the playoffs, I think that's a great pickup for them. Even though they're not going to be using him as a main guy, more as a rotational guy there on that defense, which I feel like he's going to excel in that defense with them, which I think, yes, it works good for both ways. We got something for him rather than just letting him go at the end of the year with nothing. So at least we have some type of draft capital. But I think Browning will do pretty good for them for this year itself. Hopefully they do extend him. If not, he's a free agent at the end of this year. He's just a loaner for the remainder of the year as it is right now. So,
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I like the tandem of Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper. Always a giant fan. I was a giant fan of Jonathan Cooper when we drafted him.
Yeah.
And the fact and like his story, having the heart condition heart condition's no joke. I mean, I work in the medical field. I'm going to tell you, when it comes to the heart, you don't mess around.
Mhm.
And if you have a heart condition, generally speaking, if you were an athlete or aspiring professional athlete, you don't get to continue when you have a heart condition. And yet he overcame it, and now he's, in my opinion, one of the best pass rushers currently in the NFL.
Mhm.
So, I mean, huge kudos to him. Congratulations on your contract, and I can't wait to have you on the show. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna get a hold of it.
I can't wait.
I've got my
excited.
ways. I've got my ways. I'm gonna get Jonathan Cooper on the show. I'm gonna fight for it because I love his story. Anybody who has ever watched any show that I do knows that I take into consideration, just as much as their ability as a player, I take their character. I love the character of players. Like whenever people are sitting there like, bring this guy in, I'm like, no, that guy is an awful human being, and I do not want him on my team. I know that that's not necessarily the best recipe for victory, but I also believe that surrounding your this team with people of good character is just as important as surrounding it with talent. That's just me, but that's how I think. So I would be very excited if we could get Jonathan Cooper on this show. So, all right, let's we're time check 46 minutes in. You guys, why don't we talk some Chiefs? Let's talk some Chiefs.
Sure. What's on your mind, Johnny?
No, please. You start.
So, I mean, the Chiefs probably, first of all, the way Patrick Mahomes sold that whole "I'm injured" and made it look like a comeback, that to me was so overrated. Like, it was something that didn't, like, I'm not saying he didn't get hurt, but the fact that it made it look so dramatic. Like, will Patrick Mahomes suit up next week or going forward? Is he out? But I think the most surprising thing from the announcers that I heard is that Carson Wentz doesn't get to practice with the ones or something like that. So he has never actually played in practice or something up to that extent. So he would have literally gone in there blind, not have ever played with any of the number ones on that Kansas City Chiefs team. So, but the fact that the Bucs, without their star wide receivers, took Kansas City to their limit at home and barely squeezed out a win makes me a whole lot confident about what this team can do going into Kansas City. And I say that only because every time the Broncos go into Arrowhead, everybody gets so arrogant and they get on their high horse and they always look down on Denver. And just for the simple fact that we have a rookie quarterback once again facing Patrick Mahomes for the very first time. But this is the perfect chance that the Broncos can take the momentum away from the Chiefs, catch them by surprise. They almost did it last year. They came close, and I'm willing to bet that they can actually get even closer and actually pull off a win against Kansas City.
Came close. They got it, dude. They
that
got
was
it.
Denver. That one was in
Denver.
Denver.
That was in Denver. That was the flu game.
Yeah.
The one in Kansas City.
I was at
5.
Because I was at the Chiefs game. I was at the Christmas game that was against New England.
New England. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of the year before when I went to the Chiefs game in Denver. But yeah, you're right. They got it. But okay. So, what are your thoughts leading into this game? Just overall Broncos versus Chiefs, and then we can kind of delve into some individual topics regarding the Chiefs.
No, absolutely. I feel like we are actually catching them at a good time. I feel like, even though they're 8-0, if you actually look at all the games, they've only won by one possession on all these games. So being the division itself, I feel that we are going to play them tough. It's going to be another close game, but I do feel like at the end, we're going to be able to pull it out because I think we're going to want it more itself. Like how Don was saying earlier too about that heroics of himself being like injured and then coming back and doing what he did. That just reminds me from several years ago, like 2-3 years ago, when he did the same thing as well, with a leg injury. It's like a high ankle sprain that he had where he was barely walking, but then he's just doing all this other crazy stuff. I think it's just a ploy that he's playing these mind games on the field with some of these guys, and he just comes out and does that. But I feel this Denver defense will be able to step up to the challenge and actually beat them this weekend.
I mean, milking it for all that it's worth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with Mr. Juan Marquez coming in saying, "Go Broncos! What's up, Bronco Libre?
What's up? That's my primo.
That's your
Juan,
primo?
how you doing?
That's my primo."
Love it, man. Love it. I'm glad that you're here, Juan. And I don't drink beer on the show anymore, but I will still cheers to you and welcome to the Orange and Blue crew.
Saludos.
Anytime on our shows when we get a new name that we don't recognize in the chat, we give them a toast and we welcome them to the Orange and Blue crew.
Bienvenido.
So very glad that you are here, Juan. All right, so my thoughts leading up to this game. You know, Adon, I don't know if you recall, but Nothing Rhymes. Actually, no, E will definitely recall because he was on the show with me and Jay when we did it. We had done predictions for the two game stretch on the road.
Yep.
And and I had predicted that we were going to go 1-1.
Same
on the road. And I had predicted that our loss, while everybody else was not, except maybe E. I believe you were with me on that one.
Yeah, I was with
you.
I
believe you were with me on that one. But was that the loss would come in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Chiefs, for me, the Chiefs, I might be saying this in a way that I might be just too hopeful about this. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Excuse me. Dr. Pepper burps, man. Woo! I'll tell you what. That Dr. Pepper tasted way better the first time. All right. So, but maybe it's just me being hopeful. But from watching the Chiefs this season, as much as I've watched them as much as I can. I don't think I've caught every single game, but I've probably caught 6 of their first 8, or what of their first 9, whatever. Because we're going into week 10, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I've caught about 6 of them, 6 or 7, and they have gotten very lucky.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, I am not a man who really subscribes to luck, or anything like that. But at the same time, things like they have come so close to getting beat by so many people they should be destroying, and yet somehow they pull it out. Be it if you want to say that the Chiefs players, the ones that wear the stripes, are responsible, or or if you want to say that it's it's just truly sheer luck. It's definitely not Patrick Mahomes' ability, like Patrick Mahomes right now. I mean, for crying out loud, I have benched the guy. He is my quarterback in fantasy football, and I have him benched because he's not playing up to the level that I expect of Patrick Mahomes. And Travis Kelce, let's be honest, he's still Travis Kelce, but he's getting old and it's starting to show. And even though they got some other weapons right now, their best weapons are still hurt. Hollywood Brown, just to name one, they're still injured. So they've gotten very lucky. And as a result here, I think as long as our defense can take a step back, take a deep breath following that loss to the Ravens, be like, yo, what did we do wrong? And really buckle down and be the defense that we know that we have. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game no matter what if they do that, because they have a pretty good defense too. And Kevin Stefanski is no joke as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But their offense will not be able to just carve us up like they've been they are used to doing. So I'm going to reiterate what we said on last week's Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. Our first loss on this road trip would come in Baltimore. We get the win in Kansas City, but I do believe it'll be close. So,
I agree.
What are your biggest concerns, going into this? Like, what do you think is the biggest concern, the biggest thing that we need to address going into this game from what we saw last week?
So my biggest thing on this itself is that, like how we just talked about just now, they have not played very well. What they're doing now is they're starting to get that continuity and they're starting to roll. So it could be we're catching them at the wrong time as well because they're starting to roll. And now that they have DeAndre Hopkins there and him having a big game, what he just did on Monday night, it's going to be tough itself. If we can control that, if PS2 is going to be on him, he's going to have to be really on him throughout the whole game to help control that. But if knowing how PS2 and how he plays, he's going to lock him down. And I feel like if that happens, I think that's going to take care of the whole our offense versus their offense versus our defense itself. And then again, Patrick Mahomes at this point this year, how you said you benched him because he's now just a game manager. He's not that high profile passer that he was or making those great outstanding passes like he was several years ago. He's just a game manager, and that's been working for them because some of these teams are coming into this fourth quarter and just falling apart because it's like they're just saying, oh my God, it's the Chiefs. You know, we're right here, we're close, but then they just don't finish it off. They just get tired there at the end.
Awesome. I love it. D-Rock has got a really interesting point for us, guys. You ready for this? I've seen a crazy, peculiar stat. We are 12-1 after a presidential election. I didn't research it, but I'm saying it with my chest. Broncos gonna win Sunday.
Say it with your
dude,
chest now.
Yeah, say it with your chest. I'm glad that you caught that as I did it. Say it with your chest. Dude, that Kevin Hart special. I mean,
yep.
that is one of the greatest comedy specials ever created.
Yes, it was.
Just, you know, his uncle. Say it with your chest.
Say it.
Yes.
I'm glad that you got that reference when I did it.
Heck yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's a very interesting fact, though. 12-1 after presidential elections since 1960. Just saying. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know how much of a bearing it'll play here, but pretty cool. Let's make it 13-1. How about that?
Yeah.
So my biggest concern. Oh wait, no. Don? It's your turn. I'm sorry. Biggest concern, biggest need to address this week leading into this game.
For me, it's going to be the offense. I'm pretty sure that the defense is going to bounce back and look like the defense of old. Again, I agree with what you said, Johnny, and what Bronco Libre said at the beginning of the show, which is about playing division games. Division teams play each other so close to the needle. And it's no surprise when division games come very close, where it comes down to like a field goal or a safety or what have you, or like a one-score game. However, for the Broncos, the offense, the consistency needs to be there, because what you cannot do is let Patrick Mahomes take the lead in his own home. Granted, he hasn't been playing like the Patrick Mahomes of old, but at the same time, if the defense gets an interception, you have to put up points. If they recover the fumble, they have to put up points. If they force the Chiefs to go 3 and out and punt the ball, they have to put up points. It's the one thing that really kept the Broncos from keeping it close in Baltimore, especially if the Broncos are going to go for it on fourth down and they cannot convert or they cannot put points and they have to punt the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. That's the one thing this offense cannot do. They have to put their gas to the pedal and keep the Chiefs at bay. Do not give them a chance to score. Do not give them a chance to get back into the game, because as we saw, overtime rules, even though the NFL keeps trying to flex him and move him around, it's still pretty flawed. And I'm pretty sure if Baker Mayfield got a chance at that ball, the Bucs win that game. But unfortunately, the Bucs defense was just completely gassed out, and they spend way too much time out on that field, and they were not able to stop Patrick Mahomes in that offense. So that's exactly what I'm saying. You cannot give them an inch, because they will take a mile.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And what I'm going to point out is, you're talking about how when it came time for overtime, not that I ever want a game to go to overtime. I hate overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you get to watch a little more football. That's nice.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want a game to go to overtime. I want to win it in the regulation. Let's do that. But but like, even if we don't go to overtime, you're talking about the Bucs defense being gassed from being on the field too much. We know that the Broncos have struggled with that for almost a decade now. Our offense not playing the complementary football that they need to in order to keep the defense off the field. So that's why I agree with you in what you're saying, but I'm gonna make the thing that I think we need to focus on the most is offensive. I mean, defense is important. They need to get back to where they are, but offensively, this team has got to be aggressive. Like it's the same situation, same as going up against the Ravens. We've got to be aggressive. If we win the coin toss, guess what? We're receiving first again, and we're going to go out there, punch them in the mouth with a score right out the gate. And they just need to work again. Bo Nix, I will say this: I will give Bo his just desserts. His footwork still looked good this last game. We saw him really come into his own with his footwork, which led to accuracy against the Panthers. We saw that. Now, even though we lost and there was a lot of overthrown balls this last game by Bo, it wasn't because of his footwork this time. I think he was like I said, just something was off. And for whatever reason, his passes were flying too high or flying too far. He'll work on that. I mean, Davis Webb is not going to just let that go. They're gonna put a lot of emphasis on putting the ball in the right place this week. I promise you that. And it's just a matter of the guys that are catching the ball. They need to really focus on good hands. Because Bo doesn't always put it right in the breadbasket, and even when he does, there was a few drop passes. They bounce right off their chest. I can't remember who it was, but there was a very good pass right over the middle. It was a quick pass. It would have been for a short game, but it would have been a first down if he'd gotten it. And I can't remember who it was that was trying to make the catch, but I mean, he got hit from behind at the same time by someone
Troutman.
Secondary. Yeah, it was Adam Troutman. Thank you.
Yeah, Adam Troutman. Yeah,
and it just literally like hit him in the chest and then bounced off. And I'm like, come on, dude. I get you're taking a hit from behind, but if that ball's right there, if he's knocking you from behind, you're falling into the ball. Just pull it in.
Catch it with your chest. Let's go.
Yeah, catch it with your chest. So, that for me, that's the most important thing on this one is our offense has got to get out there and play complementary football and keep our defense off the field so that by the fourth quarter, if they're having to play defensive ball to keep a lead or even to try to gain a small lead, then our defense isn't completely gassed out. That for me, that's absolutely a must. That and the last one I want to point out before we can kind of roll on, we have got to contain the run better than we did against the Ravens. Granted, Derrick Henry is. I said it on the Buck Your Feelings post game show, and Bronco Bill disagreed with me vehemently. But I said that I predict that by the time he retires, and he goes in the Hall of Fame, there's no question that guy is a Hall of Famer. He will be considered the best running back to ever have played the game. I believe that. And I know that there's a lot of people that are like, really? Jim Brown and some of these others. I'm like, yeah. Even Terrell Davis, I got flack for that. They're like, what about TD? And I'm like, sorry, buddy. I love TD. I've met TD. He's a stand-up guy. He's an awesome player and an awesome person. But I'm sorry. I truly believe that Derrick Henry will be at some point in the near future considered the best running back to have ever played the game. He's already broken almost all the running back records. I mean, I'm just saying. So anyway, moving on. But we need to contain that run. Who do they have? Isaiah Pacheco still in the backfield?
No, he's still hurt. It's just Kareem Hunt and Carson Steele.
Okay. Well, I mean, they've actually been running a very, very good game. this season, even without Pacheco. I forgot he was out for the whole season. Kareem Hunt has been doing a good job carving up defenses, and our defensive line is too good to let that happen. They need to stop it. That'll hamper the Kansas City Chiefs offense quite significantly. So, I don't know what you guys think. We're at an hour 5 of this awesome first ever episode of Nothing Rhymes with Broncos Talk. So do you guys want to do a Nothing Rhymes thing and do a little bit of the phrases incomplete?
Let's go.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. I'm totally in on it. Let's go, guys. This is the phrase is incomplete. I don't know why it pumps me up so much every time I hear it. Every time. It just
just with having that incomplete, and when you're inside that stadium, you were there this last home game, Don. Just having the stadium just go at it. How defeating is that to the other quarterback when they hear that and they're just like, damn, they're just calling me out on this incomplete pass. That's it. It's just so satisfying just to be able to do that in the stands is amazing.
I think the only other team that has anything comparable that they do to demoralize their opponent in the way that the incomplete chant does for Denver would be the Chiefs with the chop.
Yeah.
Beyond that, though, I don't think that there's another organization in the NFL that has as demoralizing a fan tradition that can affect a team like the incomplete chant does.
Yeah.
So it's something special. And literally, I was sitting there when I came up with the idea for this segment. I was like, how can I incorporate incomplete just so that I can use that soundbite in a transition video? and then it hit me. And what hit me is this. This is the phrase is incomplete. It is very simple. Each one of us will make a statement or two, depending on how we go in time. We will each make a statement or two in which we leave out a word or a stat or a name or whatever, and the others have to answer it. It's not a question like who is going to be this. It is a statement, a blanket statement with a blank in it. So, E, you've done this now. So, do you want to go first?
Let's do this.
All right.
Let's go with Troy Franklin will have blank receiving yards.
Ooh. You want me to go first, Adon, or do you want to go first?
Now, when you say we'll have blank receiving yards, you mean just in the Chiefs game? Or
yeah, this weekend, yeah.
Or this weekend, okay. Johnny, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be the optimist on this one. I usually try to keep it pretty down to earth, but I'm going to be the optimist on this one because I think it's time. I think it's time for Troy, not only for Troy Franklin to step up, but it's also time for him to have a flash play. And so, even if it's just one that gets a lot of yak, you know what I mean? I'm going to go with Troy Franklin will have 82 receiving yards this game. And I'm just going to sweeten it a little bit and 1 touchdown. So there it is. 82. Adon?
I was thinking more in the realm of like 70, just for the simple fact that the Chiefs defense plays really tough, especially if McDuffie is going to be the one shadowing him. So I'm going to take the safer route. I'm going to say 70 yards. And I'm also going to give him a touchdown because if it's one thing that if the other guys can kind of cause a distraction and catch the Chiefs sleeping, Franklin is a very speedy wide receiver.
Yep.
And that's how they caught the Ravens napping in that almost touchdown. It's just that unfortunately they just weren't aligned. But that's something that can easily be fixed. And
listen. I used to have the sound effect. Of Don Adams, who played Inspector Gadget on the original animated series of Inspector Gadget. And I used to have the phrase from him when he was on the original show Get Smart. but from the 60s where he's like, missed it by that much.
Yeah.
I used to have that. I need to get that soundbite back on here. But all right. E, would you please fill in your own phrase?
Just like what you're saying, Johnny, I feel that this is the game that he has a breakout. He hasn't had it yet this year. I think it's that Oregon connection that's going to happen there in KC. I'm going big. He's going to have 93 yards with a tutty.
Woo! All right. I love it. So one thing we can all agree on, he doesn't eclipse 100.
Correct.
In his breakout game. That we think he's about to have, but we all give him over 50, which is I only think only one other receiver this season has eclipsed 50 in a single game except for Cortland Sutton, and I believe it was Devon Bailey, wasn't it? Had like 62 in one game, but I think that's the closest any other receiver has gotten to Cortland Sutton, who has had an over 100 receiving yard game this season. So I like it. I like it very much. Thank you for that phrase. Adon, would you care to go next, or would you like me to, brother?
Please take it away. Let me go last.
Oh, I will take it away. I will. Okay. Let me think, because I was gonna touch on Troy Franklin in mine, so I'm gonna go a different route here. The Denver defense will combine for blank sacks on Patrick Mahomes this game. Adon, why don't you go first on this one?
I think the Broncos defense are going to get 5 sacks. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to say 5 because especially with the big Jonathan Cooper contract, the man has to go out and show that he was worth every penny. Now, he might not get all 5 sacks on his own, but if he can help draw the pressure and get Nick Bonito or Zach Allen or
JFM or Malcolm Roach or
Malcolm Roach, one of them guys, as long as somebody in that front line sacks Mahomes, especially since he's quote unquote with a possible ankle injury, and keep him from scrambling. So I'm going to go with 5.
All right. I mean, it's bold. It's bold. I like bold. That's my favorite Cheez-Its are the bold ones. So I like bold. All right. E, what about you, brother?
I'm right there with him. I think we're gonna get 6.
Woo!
Going a little over.
Oh, hang on. Hold up. There it is. Hot take, baby. Hot take.
Right, so it's going to be Jonathan Cooper with at least 2 sacks. He's going to have 2 sacks, and Nick Bonito will have another one himself, continuing the streak of the number of games in a row for the team itself. So this is going to be a huge weekend for us. I think with the quote-unquote Mahomes ankle injury, if he truly is slowed down a little bit, this defensive line is going to get to them.
Okay. All right. You guys, I love it. Now I'm going to, I gave the very bold, I gave what for me I consider to be a bold take on the Troy Franklin question earlier. So I'm coming back down a little more to earth, my level on this one. And it pains me to say it because I want them to get 5 or 6. Good Lord, do I want them to get 5 or 6. However, I have to take into consideration, injured or not, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. And I cannot underestimate the escapability of that quarterback. There's 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now that are the true escape artists. And we have one of them on our team. That's Bo Nix. And then, of course, we saw it last week, Lamar Jackson, and then Patrick Mahomes. Best escape artists in the league at the quarterback position. Injured or not, he is a master of that. And I cannot overlook it. So I'm going to stick with you in one respect there, E. I believe Nick Bonito gets 1. He just keeps the streak going, which granted, technically the streak got broken, because that one that everybody was calling a sack for Nick Bonito, ultimately was called on the stat lines is they gave it the stat for tackle for loss because Lamar Jackson tucked the ball and had begun to make a football move in a running back football move. Therefore, he was no longer a quarterback. He was considered a running back. So when Nick Bonito met him behind the line, it was a tackle for loss instead of a sack. So technically the streak has already been broken, but I'm going to go ahead and say that it counts in a way because he got to the quarterback behind the line.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll get one. Jonathan Cooper will get one as well. And then one other person will get one. Three total, which even, like I said, injured or not, 3 is generous when you're playing Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. So I'm going to stick with that. You can call me a naysayer or, whatever, but I'm not playing Icarus here. I'm not going to fly too close to the sun with this one.
Okay.
But I love everybody's takes. So far we've got Troy Franklin going for 94, 82, or 70 yards. We've got the Broncos combining for 6, 5, or 3 sacks. So now it is Adon's turn to give us an incomplete phrase.
PS2 is going to have blank interceptions.
Okay. Can I go first on this one?
Yeah.
Do you guys care?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. If there's there have been 2 people in the NFL that have had Patrick Mahomes' number in these last 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
One no longer plays for the Broncos. That's Justin Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, though, is Patrick Mahomes. It's not Patrick Mahomes. Pat Surtain has had Patrick Mahomes' number. He has gotten an interception on Patrick Mahomes in every game he's faced him the last 2 seasons. Go look it up. I promise you. I remember it well. I might, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Correct me. But Pat Surtain has intercepted Patrick Mahomes at least once in every game he's faced him over the past 4 meetings they've had. So he's got his number. And I think the reason for that is that Patrick Mahomes overestimates his ability to Patrick Mahomes' ability. He looks at himself like, I'm the better Pat. I'm Pat. I am Pat Prime, and there's no way that Pat Beta in his mind is gonna be able to get this ball. And then Pat Surtain goes, "Oh, you think you're the alpha?" No, and he gets that ball. So I'm gonna be a little bit more generous on this one. 2 interceptions by Pat Surtain on Patrick Mahomes this game.
I'm right there with you as well. Just the dominance that PS2 has, especially within the division itself, being able to see him, what he did against the Raiders, I feel like, yes, he'll have 2 as well. And I'm going to call it right now. He's going to have a pick 6.
Oh,
it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I love it. That makes me feel so good. Oh. All right. Adon.
I mean, you guessed it, Johnny. The magic number was 2 to go with the number on his jersey. So I believe Pat Surtain will have 2 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6.
Man. So it's
like he said.
You heard it here first, folks. Pat Surtain, unanimous on this show. Pat Surtain, 2 interceptions on Patrick Mahomes this game. And then 2-1 believing that he will have a pick 6 as well. So, hey, let's do it. Let's go. Will it into existence, boys.
Let's go. We got
Please, Lord Jesus. All right. So we're at 119. Do we want to do one more each before we roll out of here? Or do you guys want to go ahead and call it for the night? You guys
it doesn't matter to me, guys. It's up to you.
You are so indecisive. Oh my gosh. Everybody leave it to me to make the decisions. All right, fine. One more each. Let's go. E, we're back to you, my brother.
All righty. Let's go. So let's go with this. Javonte Williams will have Over under 55 yards rushing.
Ooh.
Can I go first?
Oh, yeah, do it, dude.
I'm going to say under. Javonte Williams, unfortunately, has shown up on almost every single Situm column these last few weeks. And the only time the analysts have been wrong was against the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, this defense is not the Saints. They're much better than what the Saints have. And I believe that Javonte Williams still, and it's not so much on him, it's just that the offensive line itself hasn't been playing up to par in terms of being a running offensive line. Now, I will say we are getting Wattenberg back this week. So hopefully that back at center. So hopefully that gives us an advantage.
Do we know though if they're gonna put him back in?
Well, he's coming off of IR, so I figured.
Well, I knew that, but do we know if he's going to be in the game? Because the reason I ask is because, even though we struggled against the Ravens, in the weeks before that, our passing game really took off. And that's because, and one of the reasons for that is Alex Forsyth is a very, very good pass blocker. But he struggles in the run game. So in this game, what's more important to us? Is getting the ball going on the ground more important, or is keeping a strong air game more important? And therefore, which one do you slot into the game? So, I mean, what do you, real quick? I know this is going off topic of our incomplete phrase a little bit, but let me just ask that real quick.
Honestly, for me, I think we need to establish at least some type of run game itself. If it's going to be Javonte in there or if it's going to be McLaughlin, we need to get that running game so that we can have that play action work for us later on in the game itself. Okay. So if all signs are pointing where he has a good practice this week, I'd like to see Wattenberg in there himself. Yeah.
And lots of love for Luke Wattenberg. I mean, I sat next to his dad at the Broncos Titans game 2 seasons ago here in Nashville. So, yeah, his dad's a cool dude. He said his jersey said Papa Wattenberg on the back. It was
nice.
Wicked. All right, and Don, what do you think? Is it more important to keep Alex Forsyth in there and keep the pass games as strong as it has been, or do we need to put Wattenberg in to get the run game going better?
I think that in order to beat Patrick Mahomes, you have to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. So in this game, I'm going to say that the air game, I think, is what's probably going to keep the Broncos close. Now, if they want to do a switch off, which I don't know if teams actually do, but keeping Wattenberg on the sidelines as the backup definitely doesn't hurt anything. So in worst case scenario, knock on wood, hopefully nobody on our Broncos.
And here's the thing. Hurt. Here's the thing. We know that one's better in pass blocking and the other's better in run blocking. I guarantee you, Andy Reid knows it too. Mm-hmm. And if you were to sit there and swap them out in the middle of the game, he's going to know exactly what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, depending on who you start, he's probably going to know then too anyway. Yeah. But he won't be. He'll be able to predict that. I think he's a smart enough coach. I mean, hate the Chiefs, but all the respect in the world to Patrick Mahomes, all the respect in the world to Andy Reid as a coach. He's phenomenal. So I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of with E on this one. I like, and then we'll get back to the incomplete phrase. But I'm with you on this one. I think establishing a strong run game is going to be more important to us in this one. If you can, because I want someone in there who's going to be a little bit better at blocking Chris Jones coming up the middle. So it's I guess we'll see. So Javonte Williams, sorry, Adon, finish your thought there on Javonte Williams plus or minus 50.
I said minus. Like I said, I don't think that the Broncos are going to be able to. I think both teams, to be honest with you, Kareem Hunt and Carson Steele are not like the best running backs on either side. They both really struggled against the Bucs defense this past week, and it was all the Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins show. out there.
Sure.
So, but I hope he proves me wrong. And if it comes to like a goal line, like a red zone, that Javonte Williams can flourish and get us the touchdowns that we need to keep the Broncos either in the game or to take the lead. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the under on this one.
I declare.
All right. So now we go on to I guess it's me because this is Z's question.
Mhm.
So on this one, yeah, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've wanted to have, and I am the optimist. You can ask anybody. I am the optimist of our network. I'm always the one who's like, yeah, I got this. Yeah, I'm always that guy. Javonte Williams is not the guy. I'm sorry. He's not anymore. You said it earlier in the show, E. He's in his own head. He can't get out of it. He cannot bust out of it. It's been over a season since he returned. Like, it's just okay. A good example, a good comparison is Cortland Sutton. When he had his season-ending injury a few years ago, he came back the next season, looked nothing like Cortland Sutton. Nothing. But by the next season, he was Cortland Sutton again. And, and I get that they're two different positions, wide receiver, running back. They're very different in how they're executed. I get that. But we had flashes in the pan from Javonte Williams being like, hey, and we're all like, yeah, he's back. And then all of a sudden, once again, and it's all up here. He can't get out of it. He's done. He's stuck. He is stuck in his head. And I'm sorry. I'm just not seeing him being I don't want him to be the guy next year and next season at all. I want him gone. Bye. We need a more reliable running back. So Javonte, unfortunately, man, I'm not giving him more than against Chris Jones. I'm not giving him more than 30.
Okay, fair.
So, what about you?
I agree. I totally agree with all of that. What both you said as well. It's I'm as well. I'm that type of guy. I'm the optimist. Like, I'm here for my team and so forth. But I feel like the way that he is, like how he is in his head, he's not going to eclipse that point there. It's going to be a lot of the yards I feel for us that we're going to have will probably come from Bo. Bo will probably be the leading rusher on the team.
Which is great. It's great that he has that ability, but you don't want him to have to.
We don't want you don't want that at all. So like I said, I believe that he won't get 55 either. So, but hopefully we're wrong and he has more than that. And we'll be talking about this next week and saying, told you so, he'd do it.
I am the smartest man alive.
So, all right. I'm standing there for you. Okay. I guess was it me next?
You can go or I can go. It doesn't matter.
All right. All right. Incomplete phrase. You know what? I got nothing at the moment. Adon, do you have one ready in the
Yes,
wings?
I do.
Send it, and I will have mine as soon as you're done.
Cortland Sutton is going to have a magnificent OMG touchdown catch. Yes or no?
Man, you guys just you just do not get the idea, the concept of the phrase is incomplete.
You're welcome.
Dang. Okay.
You know what? Like,
Cortland Sutton will. Cortland Sutton absolutely will have one of his, amazing toe tap touchdowns. I'm going to say will, because we saw one, but we really haven't seen. Last season, he was just, oh my God, against the Bills, against the Vikings. It was all just glorious catches. He was a human highlight reel last season. It's time. And let's do it against a division rival. So yeah, Cortland Sutton will have a glorious highlight reel touchdown.
So I'm going to be the same. I'm going with that. but with mine, it's going to be the game-winning touchdown.
Oh. Okay. All right. I like it. I like that a lot. Now, I think that one's Don. What about you? What do you think?
Well, the only reason I came up with this question, and I know it's not exactly to the incomplete per se, but I just wanted to show Cortland Sutton some love.
That's fair.
So I decided to go a little bit out of the way. But I agree. I do think that Cortland Sutton will have maybe not like the catch of the year per se, but it'll definitely be a catch that will have people saying, "Oh my God, Cortland Sutton is back.
Yeah. Cool.
He never left. He's the man." All that good razzmatazz. And if it's the game-winning touchdown, victory dub Monday is going to be so
yes.
Don't forget post game, boys. Don't forget post game.
Post game,
yeah. All right. So, last incomplete phrase of the night before we get out of here. I love special teams. You guys know that. I love special teams. I'm always showing love to our punter, to our kicker. And, I don't think that they get the love that they deserve for how good they both are, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show some love to our kicker today. Will Lutz, because I don't believe, against the Chiefs defense, I don't believe that we will have we will reach the red zone as many times as, of course, we'd like to. But I believe we can get close. So I'm going to say Will Lutz will have blank field goal kicks. Successful field goal kicks in this game against the Chiefs.
I'm going to say 5.
Wow.
I know that's pretty.
That's 15 points, bro.
I know. And it's been done before, but if the Chiefs, like I said, this is a division game. If the Broncos offense cannot get their footing together and it has to come down to literally beating the Chiefs by field goals, which football teams in the history of the NFL have lost games to that in that manner, then that's gonna happen. So if the Broncos can't beat them through the running game, through the passing game, then it's going to come down to Will Lutz to kick them out, kick the W.
All right. What about you, E? What do you say?
I think that he'll have 3.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 3 itself. I feel like our offense, I think, was going to be a little bit better. I think just because we play him so often, I think we'll be able to get a couple more touchdowns than the field goals itself. So I think it's going to be a good high-scoring game.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm in agreement with you, Libre. I think it's 3. I think Lutz thrives under pressure. He seems to be able to kick the field goals when they're sitting there booing him and when the chop is happening and all that. I mean, we saw it against New Orleans. I mean, that was his previous stop, and the fans weren't happy to see him on the field. They were booing the crap out of him. And he was like, oh yeah, you want to boo me? Boop. And he did it good. So I'm going to go with 3. So I mean, because I think 9 points off the foot is a pretty fair prediction. So I'm with you. And this, guys, has been the phrase is incomplete. And we're gonna get out of this, and we'll get ready to get out of here in general. We'll be right back. Oh, that was fun. All right, guys. Well, should I get us out of here, guys?
Go, please do the honors.
Let's do this.
Right. Well, hey, Don, I'm gonna have before I do anything, I'm gonna have Bronco Libre do what I had him do on Nothing Rhymes last week. So for you, his co-host, for the first time here to hear it, because it pumped me up so much, Libre, to hear you give this. Would you please once again with the upcoming show, or in honor of the upcoming entirely in Spanish show called Viva los Broncos. Would you please say for us, entirely in Spanish, coming soon to Orange and Blue Network, entirely in Spanish, Viva los Broncos.
Damas y caballeros, están listos por Viva los Broncos, viniendo muy rápido.
I love it. Oh, it pumps me up every time. Oh, I love it.
That was fantastic, man.
Thank you. Guys, get ready for some really good new content coming from this network and from both networks. So if from both our networks, both Orange and Blue Network and MHRT Network. So please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Check out the Orange and Blue podcasts everywhere you listen to your favorites in audio form. And also, if you haven't already, jump on over to MHRT Network, like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, even on Instagram, guys. Please show us the love, because I promise you, we're going to show you the love right back. This has been a lot of fun. Do not forget, this Sunday, there will be a Get Bucked Game Day show. However, thanks to church, we are going to be going early. We will not be going just an hour before game time. We will be going at 8 Central. So it's going to be kind of early for everybody, but it'll give you something to watch. Get Buck Game Day show at 7 a.m. Mountain this Sunday. Don't forget to catch the neighborhood hosted by the MHRT Network during the game. It's a watch party. It's a lot of fun. And then, of course, the Buck Your Feelings post-game show right after the game. Then do not forget to catch we will once again split apart Adon. And on Tuesday night, next Tuesday night, will be the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast at 7 Mountain Time. And then on Wednesday, Broncos Talk without the Nothing Rhymes. Broncos Talk will be next Wednesday at 6 Mountain. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been the very first ever Nothing Rhymes with Broncos Talk. I want to thank everybody who joined us. Thank you to Adon. Thank you to Adon, and thank you to Bronco Libre. I'm the Mile High Viking, Johnny Baki, and I'm going to leave you with a simple go Broncos.
Let's go.
Vámonos.